Welcome to Kayla's beautiful, fantastic kitchen. Today we're making great grandma's borscht or beet soup. I came to know about this particular soup by a story my mom told me. My mom, her sister, and my grandma had gone to live for a summer on great grandpa and great grandma's farm during a time of hardship. My mom's 8th birthday had rolled around, and she came downstairs and started smelling something in the air that she had never smelled before. She was very excited. Grandma had already been up for hours cooking for her. She went over to the stove and saw that Grandma had made beet soup. She thought it was the coolest and most delicious thing she had ever had. A purple red soup. There is nothing more special than when your grandma or grandpa makes you something special and puts the time and effort into making you smile. So the purpose for today's episode is to honor the memory and the memory maker, great grandma. Let's cook. I would like to mention that traditionally grandma would make this soup with just vegetables to make it this vegetarian. But I'm going to change it up and add meat to mine, but you are more than welcome to omit the meat from this recipe. First, we're going to brown our meat. You want to add some olive oil to the pot and let that heat. Now we're going to add in 1 pound of stew meat. And then just let that brown around like 1 to 3 minutes on each side. And then just check the bottoms to see how well they browned. This is really good, so now I'm just going to put these over with my spoon. Up, and let that brown for another 1 to 3 minutes on both sides. On this side. Okay, our meat has now been browned, and now we're just going to pull all the meat to the side, just like this, and add in 1 large onion that has been chopped. And just let that saute until they're softened, probably about 3 to 5 minutes. Onions are now softened, and now we're just going to combine them together with the meat. We're going to add in 4 cups of beef broth or beef stock. Give this a quick stir. Put on your lid and let this simmer on low for about 1 hour to 1.5 hours. Next, we're going to peel and chop our vegetables. Let's start with our beets first. Normally, I wouldn't wear gloves for chopping any vegetables, but because beets are so red, they can stain your fingers, so wear your gloves. So I didn't end up using almost an entire beet because my beets were incredibly big. So if you do have some very large beets, maybe just start with about 1. See how much you have. You need about 1.5 pounds of beets. So I definitely have that. And so I'm just going to set these aside and probably roast them as a snack or boil them and eat them with butter. They're very good that way. Or I might even give them to my dog. Peel and chop our carrots and potatoes, cabbage, and our fresh dill. drizzle on some olive oil. Along with, I'm just going to sprinkle on some salt and pepper. Now we're going to roast these vegetables at 400 degrees for about 20 to 25 minutes. Now we're going to go ahead and chop up our cabbage. I'm using green cabbage for this, but you could use red cabbage if you want. So I just pulled my roasted veggies out of the oven, and now we're going to finish up the soup. So take off the lid to your meat. And then we're going to add in all 3 of the roasted veggies to the pot. Whoops. Got a couple little flyaways. And now we're going to go ahead and add in 4 more cups of beef stock or beef broth. Either one works. And then we're just going to give this a quick mix. And then we're going to add in our cabbage. This is getting really full. And then we're going to finish it off with our freshly chopped dill. Now we're just going to cover this and let this simmer for about another 15 to 20 minutes. Now I would like to mention also that the cabbage will definitely shrink down in size, so the volume of the soup is not going to be as high as it is right now. It's time for the verse of the day. Romans 8:28 says, "And we know that in all things God works for the good of those who love him and who have been called according to his purpose." So let us each day trust that God has our best interests in mind, even when we don't like the answer. Okay, our soup is now done simmering, and we're going to do the last step before we get to enjoy it. So this step is probably one of the most important steps out of all of it, because this is really where it gets its most well-known like sour, tangy flavor. I'm going to be using about 3 tablespoons of lemon juice, but traditionally you would use probably vinegar, but I'm not a fan of vinegar, so I'm just going to sub it out for some lemon juice. A good mix. And now we're going to plate this up. And traditionally, you would always eat it with a dollop of sour cream. Let's give it a taste. It smells so good. Oh, wow. That is really good. This one's for you, Great Grandma. Thank you. I hope you enjoyed today's episode of Kayla's Beautiful, Fantastic Kitchen. Please hit the subscribe because it's free and click the notification bell to join the movement of bringing families back to the table, one recipe at a time. Bye!